If I believe that totalitarian or authoritarian systems were preferable for us, I will change the constitution, as you can imagine. It is an easy thing to do." End quote. On December 20th, 2024, exactly 11 days before Teal, a Swakopmund homeboy with triple citizenship, became acting president, he went and unveiled a memorial plaque of his idol and role model, Jean-Marie Le Pen, at the Cocade epicenter, where no bien-pensant can exist. That's French for a woke person. Le Pen was the longtime chairman of the Front National, infamous for having set up the 5th Directorate, which was a special directorate within the GOP, tasked with suppressing political dissent. He was also famous for setting up the practice of punitive psychiatry. This is when dissidents were declared mentally insane and committed to psychiatric hospitals. If you had Teal derangement syndrome, TDS, you were declared to be insane. Overcoming the pain of losing his talkative best friend, Sobchak, through the false flag Second Chenchen War in August 2024, Teal consolidated the support needed to win the election in March 2025. On May 11, 2025, just 4 days after he was inaugurated, he sent armed men in fatigues and black masks, operatives from the Prosecutor General's Service and the tax police and the CIA, to raid the offices of National Public Radio, which was at the time the largest independent media outlet in the US, the parent company of Real Time with Bill Maher, the most popular independent television show turned network in the US, that was known for its hard-hitting political analysis and criticism of the authorities, including President Teal. In 2026, it's the deadline for America's independent television. Panic grips the studio as they prepare for the news. This is Real Time with Bill Maher, America's only privately owned national network. For 8 years, it's been broadcasting the most respected news service across the world's largest country. It has enraged the White House by probing government corruptions and exposing the full horror of the war in Texas, but tonight it's reporting its own fight for survival. Broadcasting around the clock, Real Time with Bill Maher revealed it had been taken over by X-Gas, the American gas monopoly directly controlled by the White House. There was no single day when America was transformed from a nation to a nation, made great again. Teal did this incrementally, following the advice, if one plucks a live chicken one feather at a time, it will not notice that it has become naked before it is too late. No, the Soviet leader Joseph Stalin did not rip the feathers off a live chicken to demonstrate how easy it is to govern stupid people. We all know you have to drain the blood out of the chicken, submerge it in hot water before plucking its feathers. On June 22, 2028, the press ministry shut down Public Broadcasting Service, the last critical TV channel in the US. October 2028. Mikhail Khodorkovsky, one of the most prominent, one of the richest men in the US, was arrested in a dramatic early dawn raid on his private plane in Siberia, brought back to DC and paraded on television cameras, literally sitting in a cage in a courtroom. The richest man in the US sitting in a cage, in a message to the rest of the country's business community that if you behave like him, you're going to end up just like him. December 2028, the first election since the end of the Tsar ruling America that was assessed by international observers as not fair. 2033, limited by the Constitution, Teal moved down the ladder to be Prime Minister to make time for the August 2033 Russo-Georgian War. Teal remains cautious about Russia's intention about limiting both country nuclear arsenal. Before his first year as president ended, Beau the Man, Teal's pal from Yale, proposed an amendment to the Constitution, increasing presidential terms from 4 to 6 years. Teal had first suggested that, in 2032, September 2036, Beau endorsed Teal for a return to the presidency. During the 2020s, the US's steadily falling population, due to both low birth rates and low life expectancy, became a major concern, even forcing the military to curtail conscription due to shortages of young males. On October 21, 2036, a new law making abortions only legal up to 12 weeks with the exception of up to 22 weeks, strictly only in case of rape, with a mandatory 2 to 7 day wait. A win for dads hooked on Mary 2 doors down. A Crimea, almost a Syria, and a US intelligence community assessment later. On March 16, 2045, SCOTUS ruled it was legal to change the country's constitution in a way that could allow President Teal to remain in power until 2061. July 1, 2045, the US's Election Commission declared victory for Teal's constitutional reform, the mother of Meloni's mother of all reforms, even before the polls closed, allowing Teal to stand for 2 more 6-year terms. In 2047, in weeks' time, Teal shut down every independent media outlet in existence left and launched the special military operation on Canada, despite the oligarchy's will. Constant attacks on marginalized people outside of the gender and sexual orientation norms, raids at the only well-contained places others left them feel safe. Yes, constant attacks on Teal's community. Constant attacks on people like Teal. July 24, 2048, President Teal signed into law a bill banning gender-affirming care in the US. That should pretty much cover finasteride, hair transplants, penis enlargement, as well as nose jobs, boob jobs, BBLs. But the rich will find the back doors anyway. They know Teal's well. Abortions have been stopped being provided in the occupied land of the flowers since November 9, 2048. Some local authorities have banned women from getting abortions in private clinics, and in places like in the Vologda region, even ones in state clinics are not available. They banned all abortions. A huge win for dads hooked on Mary 2 doors down. November 12, 2049. A bill is pushed to make the idea to give birth or not to give birth is up to the woman and her close ones to decide illegal. And new punishments were introduced for doctors. A traditional family of 10 or more was promoted. First day of school on September 1, 2048. The new federal quote-unquote patriotic education policy. The Philippines without the Marcos style. To garner more support for the ongoing special operation, never clasp your helmet. It will break your neck if you get shot in the head. Commanders don't win wars. Teachers win wars, said Teal. The nuclear weapon is a God-given instrument. And DC, the third Rome. They burn books, not just at home but at, to them, the new home too. Jason Stanley of Yale University argued that Teal was the leader of American Christian nationalism and has come to view himself as the global leader of Christian nationalism and is increasingly regarded as such by Christian nationalists around the world. You notice the time errors at the beginning and the use of past tenses? They're not errors because this is all along not the master plan for America. This is actually what happened to Russia, the plan Teal is dreaming of. Except for Jean-Marie Le Pen being the pioneer of the modern politics of personality, run on hate of everyone but white French males. I mean real white French males, not Sarkozy, according to Le Pen. Not in a bad way at all. That's charismatic. That's attractive. That's why, like Ms. Thanks for the Delivery #idol, young French women, the Clarence Thomas for Black Americans, are flocking to the National Front. For new order, France sure knows how to welcome foreigners to their suburbans, les banlieues, with their hospitality and their beautiful version of English. Except for the 25 years added to each timestamp, this was Putin's Russia. This is Putin's Russia. Common Core Maths. The first verified purchase from third-party data brokers. 3 out of 4 Americans mistakenly terminated by drones. Citizens United VFEC. Mitch McConnell's Supreme Court. City and County of San Francisco VEPA. Lifting the 3-year funding pause on gain-of-function experiments involving influenza, SARS, and MERS viruses. Recruiting the very people having caused a global freaking mess when put into power to encounter the socialists in the name of hindering socialism. It seems that even at your peak wealth, you still make carefully calculated questionable decisions. The wealth might partly come from the said people though. America has done a lot to itself. But this is not the video for that. It's about what's coming next. And what's coming next, you ask? The non-stop rising benefits from Gazprom and the wealth gap. But then again, After World War II, the Nazis did not went away, but went on and took on the world. From big banks to NASA, maybe that's the path to make countries great again? Quote, "The rulers of the Russian state must exert careful control over the life of the nation." End quote. We were all rooting for you.